Welcome to my channel. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update on the latest movie breakdowns, reviews, and in-depth analyses. Today, we're diving into the dark, thrilling, and unique world of The Menu, 2022. Directed by Mark Mylod, this film takes us behind the doors of an exclusive fine dining experience where the gourmet delights quickly turn into something much more sinister. With an all-star cast featuring Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, and Ralph Fiennes, The Menu invites viewers to a remote island for an unforgettable evening. But as the night unfolds, the layers of haute cuisine are peeled back to reveal dark secrets, exploring themes of power, greed, and the consequences of indulgence. So if you're ready for a thrilling ride through a high-end restaurant with a very dangerous twist, grab your seat and let's dig into this movie's menu. Trust me, it's not what you expect. Let's get started. The Menu 2022 opens with Tyler, an enthusiastic food lover, and his date Margot, who are waiting at the dock to board a boat to a remote island where they will dine at the exclusive restaurant Hawthorne. Tyler is excited, knowing that Hawthorne is run by one of the best chefs in the country. He's eager to meet the chef and experience the renowned restaurant. As the boat arrives, they notice other high-profile guests boarding, including Lillian, a famous food critic, her editor Ted, George, a fading actor with his assistant and girlfriend Felicity, and three tech moguls, Dave, Soren, and Bryce. Margot, however, seems more preoccupied with a businessman named Richard and his wife Anne, whom she knows from the past. She tries to avoid being seen by them, creating a subtle sense of tension. During the boat ride, Tyler is thrilled by the appetizers served to the guests, taking a photo of the dish, while Margot remains unimpressed by the food, indifferent to Tyler's excitement. Upon arrival at Hawthorne, the restaurant's maitre d', Elsa greets the guests, but she mistakenly calls Margot by a different name. Tyler quickly corrects her, explaining that there was a last-minute change, which leads to an awkward moment, but they are quickly ushered in. Elsa takes the guests on a brief tour of the island, where she explains that all the food served at the restaurant is farmed and hunted by the staff, and even the chef lives on the island in a private residence that is off-limits. Once inside the restaurant, the guests are amazed to see the open kitchen, allowing them to watch the chefs at work. Among the guests, there is an older woman named Linda who seems out of place, which adds to the growing sense of unease. Richard, noticing Margot, requests to switch seats with his wife to get a better view of her, further adding to the discomfort. Elsa sets some ground rules, telling the guests that no photos are allowed of the chefs at work, which causes Tyler to feel restricted. Nevertheless, he sneaks a few photos, eager to capture the experience. Chef Slowik, the head chef, soon enters the room and commands attention, introducing his philosophy on food. He explains that eating is not just about consuming, it's about truly understanding and appreciating each dish. When Tyler tries to interject, Chef Slowik quickly shuts him down, establishing his authority in the kitchen. The first course arrives and Lillian, the food critic, takes her time savoring every detail of the dish, appreciating the aroma and the taste. In contrast, Margot finds the appetizer underwhelming, which leads Tyler to lecture her on the finer aspects of the dish, trying to impress her with his knowledge. As the meal progresses, the second course arrives and Chef Slowik announces that there will be no bread served, as he believes bread is too ordinary for such an exclusive meal. Instead, the guests are presented with a breadless bread plate, featuring small toppings that are traditionally paired with bread. Tyler is fascinated by the dish, but Margot finds it pretentious. Meanwhile, Lillian notes that the sauce accompanying the dish is slightly off, which prompts the kitchen staff to humorously send her an entire bowl of sauce as a joke. The tech moguls, frustrated by the lack of bread, demand to speak to the owner of the island, Doug Varick, mentioning their connections to him. Elsa, ever cryptic, informs them that they will eat less than they expect but more than they deserve, a statement that adds to the growing sense of unease. Margot, dissatisfied with the small portions, refuses to eat, and Tyler attempts to take her dish. In the process, he accidentally breaks a glass, which catches Chef Slowik's attention. The chef approaches, but his focus quickly shifts to Margot when he notices that she won't eat. Chef Slowik questions Margot about her refusal to eat, explaining that the portions are carefully designed to prevent overeating, but Margot continues to resist. Chef Slowik is clearly disturbed by her refusal and leaves the scene, though he takes a moment to show unexpected kindness to Linda, who seems to be the only guest not being scrutinized. Meanwhile, Margot inadvertently locks eyes with Richard, and Anne, Richard's wife, comments that Margot looks strikingly like their late daughter. This remark adds another layer of discomfort to the atmosphere, and Richard, trying to defuse the situation, brushes it off as a joke, though it's clear that there is something deeper at play. As the night progresses, Chef Slowik introduces the third course, memory, which is deeply personal to him. He shares a haunting story from his childhood, recounting a traumatic experience where he had to protect his mother from his abusive father by stabbing him with scissors. The dish served, smoked chicken thigh, chillingly reflects this memory, with scissors stabbed into the meat and a foam cord wrapped around it. The tortillas served with the dish are laser engraved with personal images from the guest's past, further unsettling them. Lillian's tortilla bears images of restaurants she had reviewed that later closed down, while Anne's tortilla depicts Richard's secret meetings with another woman. Despite Richard's attempts to downplay it, the implication is clear and disturbing. George's tortilla reminds him of his failed movie career, and the tech moguls are shocked to find tax documents and fabricated charges etched onto their tortillas. As each guest confronts their past, the atmosphere grows darker and more tense, as the meal becomes not just a culinary experience, but a cruel reflection of their actions and histories. As the guests confront Elsa about how the restaurant managed to gather such deeply personal information, Elsa responds cryptically, stating that there is no need to close the restaurant. She implies that the staff has their own unique ways of collecting information beyond what the guests might expect. This unsettling revelation only deepens the guests' discomfort, leaving them feeling exposed and vulnerable. Tyler begins to feel uneasy when he sees a picture of himself taking photos of the food, leading him to suspect that Chef Slowik may have a personal grudge against him. Meanwhile, Margot is disturbed by the invasive images displayed with her meal. She voices her desire to refuse the dish, which triggers an angry reaction from Tyler, who accuses her of being childish and not behaving appropriately at such an upscale dinner. Margot, hurt by his words, decides to step away to the restroom. Elsa quickly intervenes, guiding Margot away from a silver door that marks a restricted area, ensuring she doesn't stray into forbidden spaces. In the restroom, Margot takes a moment to smoke a cigarette by the window, her mind racing. As she looks out, she witnesses a bizarre sight, a restaurant employee rushing past, carrying angel wings, adding another surreal element to the evening. During this brief respite, Chef Slowik finds Margot and expresses his personal disappointment over her refusal to eat. He presses her for an explanation, asking why she won't partake in the meal, but Margot simply replies that she isn't hungry, which fails to satisfy Slowik's concerns. He continues to push for more details about her identity, but Margot maintains her simple self-description. Margot from Nebraska, which Slowik struggles to accept. Meanwhile, back in the dining area, the scene is set for the fourth course. The kitchen staff begins preparing an elaborate presentation, laying out a piece of fabric and various decorative items on the floor. Chef Slowik introduces Jeremy, one of his sous chefs, who has designed the upcoming dish, the mess. Jeremy, a graduate of a prestigious culinary school, has long dreamed of working with Slowik, but despite Slowik's praise, he openly states that he doesn't consider Jeremy exceptional, casting a shadow over the young chef's contribution. This subtle tension adds to the growing unease of the evening. Slowik then pulls Jeremy aside, warning him about the pressures of the glamorous yet dissatisfying life he leads. He asks Jeremy if he truly wants to live a life full of stress and criticism, to which Jeremy answers no. In a rare moment of closeness, Slowik kisses Jeremy on both cheeks. Shockingly, Jeremy then pulls out a gun and ends his life in front of the horrified guests, marking the grim introduction to the fourth course. The kitchen staff watches the tragic event with a stoic acceptance, indicating that they were not surprised. The guests, however, are horrified, except for Tyler, who is strangely captivated by the dramatic spectacle. As Jeremy's body is discreetly removed, Chef Slowik calmly invites everyone back to their seats, declaring that the suicide was simply part of the evening's theatrical performance, leaving the guests unsure whether what they witnessed was real or part of the show. Amidst the confusion, Richard attempts to leave with his wife, Anne, but Elsa informs them that no boats are available. When Richard insists on leaving, Elsa orders the chefs to restrain him and cuts off his ring finger. The brutal act escalates the terror in the restaurant, as Elsa hands the severed ring to Anne, while Slowik coolly insists that these horrifying acts are simply part of the night's menu. Lillian seems to accept this explanation, but the other guests are increasingly frightened. In a desperate plea, Felicity begs George, who she believes knows Slowik, to intervene. However, George confesses that he lied about his connections to Slowik to impress her, leaving them all in even more peril. As chaos erupts, Elsa leads Margot to the kitchen, where Chef Slowik confronts her, accusing her of not being the Margot he had been expecting. He demands that she choose a side, whether to align with the other guests or with the restaurant's sinister plans. Regardless of her choice, Slowik ominously assures her that it won't change the grim fate he has planned for everyone that night, suggesting an inevitable, deadly conclusion. Overwhelmed by the night's events, Margot returns to her seat, only to find Tyler still engrossed in analyzing the culinary aspects of the meal. Unable to contain her frustration, she slaps him for his lack of empathy, amplifying the tension in the room. As the atmosphere grows more fraught, Soren, pushed to his breaking point, attempts to break a window with a chair, but discovers that the glass is unbreakable. Elsa calmly leads him back to his seat, maintaining a composed demeanor despite the escalating chaos. The next course arrives, a special tea designed to cleanse the palate. This moment provides Chef Slowik with the opportunity to engage with the guests, encouraging them to ask any questions. Tyler, oblivious to the severity of the evening, asks a trivial question about the tea's origin. In contrast, George, sensing the gravity of the situation, demands a direct explanation of what's happening. Slowik reveals that the dinner is a conceptual tasting where each guest represents a specific theme or ingredient. He singles out Lillian, the food critic, calling her a destructive element in the culinary world, responsible for the closure of many restaurants, and Ted, her editor, as her enabler. As the staff serves Lillian another portion of the problematic emulsion, Elsa hands Margot a kitchen timer set for 10 minutes, intensifying the suspense in the air. Meanwhile, Anne requests medical assistance for Richard, who is badly injured, but Slowik comments on the superficial loyalty of the guests, who dine at his restaurant yet fail to remember any of the dishes they've eaten. Reflecting on his career, Slowik shares his ongoing struggle to satisfy an ever-critical audience, drawing a painful parallel between his attempts to meet the impossible expectations of his mother. The conversation then turns to the ownership of the restaurant, with Bryce claiming that Doug Varick owns it. However, Slowik chillingly asserts his total control over everything, revealing that he owns Doug as well. This grim statement is visually confirmed when Doug is seen outside, suspended with angel wings, symbolizing Slowik's absolute dominion over everyone connected to the restaurant. In the chaos, Margot realizes that Elsa is just another pawn in Slowik's manipulative game. As Elsa lunges at her, Margot narrowly dodges, managing to overpower her and escape to the outside. Once outside, Margot, now fully aware of the gravity of the situation, rushes to the boat dock, where a dinghy waits to take her off the island. As she makes her way there, Slowik, in a final, terrifying act, appears behind her. Slowik, calm and collected despite the night's carnage, offers Margot one last chance to join him and the rest of his carefully curated guests in their twisted final course. He hints that she, too, has become part of his dark plan, having unknowingly been invited into his intricate vision of dining, where the ultimate indulgence is destruction. Margot, no longer the frightened and confused guest, confronts him, telling him that she doesn't need to participate in his destructive performance. In a tense, silent moment, Slowik finally accepts that Margot, unlike the others, is unbroken by his manipulative plans. Instead of forcing her to return or condemning her to the same fate as the other guests, he watches as she boards the boat. The final scene shows Margot escaping into the night, the island retreat disappearing behind her as the flames of the restaurant light up the sky, symbolizing the fiery end of Slowik's world. The closing shot leaves a lingering sense of unsettling triumph in Margot's escape. While she survived, she remains forever changed, aware of the dark undercurrents that run beneath the surface of the culinary world, and the lengths people will go to for their ideals. As the fire blazes in the background, Margot remains calm, her cheeseburger a strange comfort amid the catastrophic destruction. She watches the inferno consume the restaurant, knowing that her escape marks the end of the night's twisted spectacle. The contrast between her peaceful moment and the violent conclusion of Slowik's reign is striking, as the flames devour not just the physical building, but the lives and identities of those trapped within it. In the distance, the island, once an exclusive retreat, now becomes a charred wasteland, a symbol of Slowik's downfall and the end of his meticulously crafted, but ultimately hollow world. The final shot lingers on Margot, still savoring the last bite of her cheeseburger, as the flickering glow from the fire casts a shadow over her face, highlighting the complexity of her survival. She's no longer the victim she was at the start of the night. She's become a force of her own, one who found a way to break free from Slowik's game and assert control over her own fate. The camera pulls back to reveal the vast, empty sea stretching out before her, leaving the audience with a haunting sense of finality. The once vibrant and meticulously orchestrated evening, now reduced to ruins, both literal and metaphorical, reflects the destructive power of ego, control, and disillusionment. As Margot sails away, the world of the menu is left behind in flames, a cautionary tale about the cost of art, perfection, and the people who suffer in its wake. The credits roll over the last image of Margot's boat cutting through the water, the faintest remnants of the fire's glow still visible on the horizon. The story's closure, though bittersweet, leaves the audience with a sense of justice. Margot's escape symbolizes the triumph of human resilience over the darkness that had consumed those around her. And that wraps up our deep dive into the menu 2022. What did you think of the shocking twists and dark humor? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think about this mind-bending thriller. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss any of our latest content. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Until then, keep your appetite for film alive, and I'll see you in the next one.